All right, let's talk about. So this isn't necessarily about me. It's about one of my Facebook friends made a post this morning, and hopefully he doesn't mind me talking about it. Although I don't even know if he knows that I have a YouTube. I really don't push my YouTube that much. I just let it go organically. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, I've learned, and this actually has to do with the video, but I've learned to stop trying to micromanage every little aspect of my life. I've stopped worrying about it. Like, my YouTube's gonna do what it's gonna do, you know, at least at this point in my life. You know, sometimes I expand and sometimes I contract. Right now, I am kind of contracted and just kind of charging up my batteries, for lack of a better term. But I'm chilling right now. I'm not stressing. You know, I did enough of that for the last 20 years. You know what I mean? I had a rough run. So, and I've learned, one of the main things I've learned is that stressing and worrying and trying to micromanage and control every little aspect of everything is pointless. Like, there's just, I control what I can control, and the things that I cannot control, I leave up to God, up to the universe, up to the Tao, the Force, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter what name you give it. But so, you know, at this point in my life, I am not too concerned. Now, when I first had my YouTube going, I was very concerned. I was like, oh my God, I finally got a YouTube that's, you know, working. I need to stay on top of it. And I was putting up a video every other day, even if I didn't have anything to say. Although, you know, thank God, by God's goodwill, I managed to say some meaningful things, you know what I mean? But I did, you know, overall, I did have a lot to say. It's just that in the beginning, I was making the videos, my motivation was really actually kind of fear. I was still trying to avoid, like, trying to keep my YouTube and, you know, striking while the iron's hot, you know what I mean? And so I've taken some videos down because I was like, I look back on some of my videos and I'm like, that video was just sheer me just trying to put a video up. There was really, you know, I was just, it was based off of fear. It wasn't based off of me actually having something to say. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know what my YouTube's going to evolve into. It could be me filming van life type stuff. Although, I'll never completely let go of the whole philosophical thing because I am somewhat of a philosopher. You know what I mean? I've always been that way. I've always been interested in philosophy, and certain philosophers I ignore and other ones I pay a lot of attention to. One of my favorites is Lao Tzu. He wrote the Tao Te Ching. One of the ones I never paid much attention to was Nietzsche. Nietzsche, however you say it, I don't know. But something turned me off to him. I don't know. I forget what it was, but I felt like a lot of his... I was looking for deeper answers than what I was getting out of reading the things from him. Now, I can't say if his stuff is good or bad because I've pretty much kind of been ignoring it most of my life. So if there's anything from him worth reading, feel free to tell me in the comments. But I prefer the whole... I like Lao Tzu. I like Sun Tzu, wrote The Art of War. I like a lot of the Zen Buddhism stuff. I like a lot of the Shinto stuff, the ancient Japanese type stuff. You know, my interests are more towards the Eastern philosophy, the ones that came out of China and, you know, Zen Buddhism, Taoism, that type of stuff. But so. Anyways, back to my point. I've come to the point in my life where I don't try to micromanage everything. It's more based on love nowadays than fear. Now, it's not just, oh, I love everyone and everything's just sunshine and rainbows and great. It's more like, whatever happens is meant to happen, and I have nothing to really be afraid of because I've handled everything else that this world has thrown at me. And I got to be honest, once I kind of really adapted that attitude, things started going a lot smoother. Things just have started kind of working in my favor, and I stopped trying to resist. And so whatever comes my way, I don't resist it, I accept it, and I make the best of it. And it's taken a lot of stress and worry off of my brain, you know what I mean? And it has a lot to do with the fact that I've already dealt with everything that I was truly afraid of, and I know that I can work with it, whatever it is, even if it's an empty pocket and homeless and hungry. I know how to handle that situation. So do I like that situation? No. Do I want to be in that situation? No. But I gotta say, that situation has done me a lot of good throughout my life. It forced me to be very adventurous and forced me to step way out of my comfort zone and do things that I never would have done under any other circumstances. It's like God knew exactly what I needed when I needed it, even when it was negative, bad things, that they all did me good in the long run. So anyways, now, a couple weeks ago, this person who I'm Facebook friends with, he's a local comedian around here. I think he's pretty funny, and I hope he succeeds. I hope he gets what he wants out of that industry. And so last week at some point, he made a post saying that the stand-up comedy was not really helping his depression lately, or something to that effect. I didn't really pay that much attention to that post because I was thinking to myself, stand-up comedy is kind of a depressing thing. We all go through it. I haven't done stand-up in months. I just got sick of it. I'll go back to it eventually, but I'm at a point in my life where, like I said, I'm contracted right now. When I expand, I'll go back to doing stand-up. But I didn't pay that much attention to that post. But then today, I was going to make a video about ranking the places I slept while I was homeless. I guess I'll do that maybe for the next video. I don't know. We'll see. But when I seen that post this morning, I was like, man, this is something I should talk about. So what he said in the post was, last week, I wasn't necessarily talking about stand-up comedy, because stand-up comedy actually does me a lot of good. My real problem here, I'm paraphrasing here, it was a long post. He was saying, my real issue here is that I'm 40 years old and I've never had job security. And, this last job that I got, which seemed to be the answer, was everything was going great and I was able to go hard at stand-up. Because when you're doing stand-up, you need income. You need a day job for the first, 10 fucking years, it seems. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of money in stand-up. A lot of the local comedians around here, they travel all around Florida for not much. They're not making much of a profit when all is said and done, because they got to drive there and back, pay for a hotel, this and that. It's not a realistic way to make a living for the most part. Now, I could do a whole video on why that is, but that's not what this video is about. But so if you want to do stand-up, you need a day job. So he was saying basically this last day job he had, it seemed everything was going great. Then the company got bought out by some other company, and I guess they changed the commission structure or something, and now nobody's making money, and he can't really focus on stand-up now because he's too worried about getting his bills paid. And he was saying, I'm 40 years old and I've never had job security. And I was like, man, that post I paid attention to, because I understand that, because it was that exact scenario that forced me out of the matrix. I just, I got to a point, the whole reason I started doing, well, there's a lot of reasons I started doing construction, but the main one was job security. I wanted to learn useful skills that I could always get a job. If I lost one job, I could go get another one real quick. That's why I wanted to learn carpentry and concrete. I felt like these are two trades that are not going nowhere. I like to be outside. It's honest work. I don't gotta steal from nobody. I don't gotta lie. I don't gotta cheat. I don't gotta, your work speaks for itself. You don't gotta, sneaking around, stabbing each other in the back and shit. Although, surprisingly, that does happen in construction. There was... I guess it's inescapable. You see it everywhere. There's just people stabbing each other in the back trying to get ahead. But my whole thing was, I didn't even sweat none of that. I didn't pay it no mind. I was like, if I show up every day and I do the best I can and I do quality work, they're going to keep me. As it turned out, that wasn't the case. As soon as they get the opportunity to dump you, they do. That was my experience. Like, the slightest slowdown, they just, whatever. And it's because they could hire 10 more of me tomorrow. You know, so there really was no job security for me. And so at one point, I started, when the whole economy collapse was starting to happen, 2006, 2007, probably more around 2007. Nobody was hiring in construction. This was like the crash happened in 2008, but we were feeling it in Florida before that. Around 2007, jobs were getting scarce, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? I spent all this time and money and energy and effort to learn this business, and now I can't even get a fucking job. So there was like no jobs, and all the construction workers around this part of Florida. I was born and raised in New York, lived in Florida during high school and afterwards. So at this point in my life, I was in Florida, and all the people in this part of Florida, all the construction workers, were all competing for like a couple of jobs, and I was like, this is what the fuck. And so what I started doing was just calling contractors out of the phone book. I ended up getting more than one job that way. But I was starting to realize that I don't even have job security with this fucking industry. Like, what do you got to do? Like, I don't want to spend the rest of my life filling out these stupid resumes and job applications, and you know, it just felt like such a disrespect. Like, it made me feel like so worthless to, you know, and like I'd be lucky to get a job. Oh, lucky me, I've got a job now. And it's like, looking back on it now, they had me trained like a dog, like to feel worthless and to take whatever shit job I could get and cling to it like my life depended on it, because that's how I felt at the time. I felt like if I don't have a job, I may as well be dead. I've got, you know, I got bills to pay. I don't want to be homeless. I don't, you know. But eventually I got so sick of living that way with the no security and just feeling like worthless dime a dozen nobody. I said, you know what? I'm not playing this fucking game no more. So seeing this dude make this post at 40 years old, I'm thinking to myself, thank God I checked out. Because he's so invested at this point. What's he gonna do? He's gonna do what I did 20 years ago? Just say fuck all this shit and go figure things out on the street? Now, I hope the dude don't see this video, because this might sound discouraging, but I don't think he could do what I did. Like, it, but you never know. Let me tell you something. You don't know how tough you are until you're forced to find out. You know what I mean? You really don't know. And I actually take that back. He probably could do it, but who the fuck wants to deal with all that at this age, at 40 years old? Like, it's so here's what really annoys me about the whole thing. Well, and I don't want to make it seem hopeless, because there's always a way out, dude. Like, and you don't even have to do it the way I did it. You know what I mean? Here's the thing. Everyone's different. Everyone is different. What I did worked for me. Probably wouldn't work for 95% of the population. But there's things they could do that I could not do. The gremlin is scratching. You hear him? Now, funnily enough, the gremlin fixed my radio last week. All of a sudden, the radio started working again when the gremlin was scratching one day. I'm like, oh, okay, he fixed the radio. Hopefully, he'll stop fucking around. He's still been scratching in there, but the radio works now, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on in there. Do I really believe there's a gremlin in my dashboard scratching around? No, I think there's something is wrong in there that keeps reconnecting and disconnecting my radio. But anyways, so like I was saying, what worked for me probably wouldn't work for most people, but it would work for some. But the people who my methods would not work for, they have their own methods hidden deep inside them that I couldn't do. You know what I mean? So we've all got the key within us to break out of the matrix. It's different for everyone. So you got to figure that out for yourself. I couldn't tell you unless I lived your life and completely analyzed your strengths and weaknesses and figured out exactly how you could do it, but I know you can. God never leaves us without any hope. We've all got our strengths and weaknesses, and you got to figure out for yourself how to use your strengths and mitigate your weaknesses to the point where you can get control. You know what I mean? And I guess, once you do get control, you realize that you don't even need control. It's such a paradox. Everything is so complicated, but like at this point, I truly feel from the bottom of my heart that I can make as much money as I want with my creative talents and gifts that God gave me. I am just chilling right now, but I will put the pedal to the floor again soon enough. But so what I would say to this dude is, I didn't say no. I don't really know this dude. He's just one of the local comedians I've met. I thought he was funny. We became Facebook friends, So I don't feel comfortable just getting up under his post and philosophically, I don't feel comfortable doing that or inboxing him or anything. But what I would say to him is, I get it, bro. And you're not alone. I would say 70, 80, 90% of the population is going through the same thing. We live in a really messed up time. Although, I gotta say, I think things are on their way up. And I don't just mean because of Trump or the election or anything. I'm talking big picture, big scheme of things. It's complicated, but I believe you are in the best timeline possible. You'd have to go to my Patreon to really understand what I'm saying there, but let's just say, for argument's sake, we're in a multiverse and there's multiple dimensions and there's multiple versions of Earth existing parallel. You're in the best dimension. You're in the one where you can escape the matrix if you choose to. And you don't have to. It's up to you. Some people are totally comfortable in the matrix. It's working out great for them. That's fine. Some people ain't ready to leave, so that's okay. But what I would say to this dude is, you're not alone, first of all. Second of all, these fears and these anxieties and these things that they have you afraid of, none of it is real. God is on your side. The universe is conspiring in your favor at all times. So, if you're going to lose this job, it's going to work out for you in the end. And it may seem bad now, but I guarantee you're going to end up in a better place, because everything happens for a reason, and sometimes they seem like bad things, but when all's said and done, it's going to work out in your favor if you let it. You gotta, a lot of us are resisting a lot of things in life because we think it's going to be bad or this or that, but really, you're better off going with the flow. You still got to paddle your little boat and try to direct it where you want it to go, but there's no point in paddling that motherfucker up that river, because sooner or later you're going to get exhausted, and that current is going to take you right back to where you weren't trying to be. Now that's from my personal experience. So What I would say to him is trust the universe, trust God has your best interest at heart. He's directing you away from somewhere that you truly do not want to be. It may be good enough for now and it may be working for you, but deep down you don't want to be there, and God's trying to get you where you want to be. So it might be easier to sit there where you don't want to be, but you're better off trusting that this current is taking you to the right place. I added that to one of my previous videos where he was talking about the creatures clinging to the bottom of the river, and one of them just said, I ain't clinging to this bottom of this river no more because I'm bored as fuck. I don't care what happens. This current is going to take me somewhere. I don't care. I'm done clinging. And he lets go. And he gets scraped along the bottom, and he gets his ass whooped, and he gets hurt real bad for a while. But eventually, the current lifts him above that shit, and he's no longer being scraped and scratched and beat up at the bottom. He's kind of risen above it. And it's because he trusted that current, and he stopped trying to, force and coerce the universe to go along with what he thinks in the short term, what is best for him. Now, I'm not saying that everyone should just, let Jesus take the wheel, and although really I am kind of saying that, but I'm not saying just let your life be flushed down the toilet. That's not what I'm saying. You still gotta function, and even though I have escaped the Matrix, I still play along with it all the time, because I am not trying to live my life in this conflict with everyone and everything around me. I play along as if I'm just one of them. But I have a deeper understanding, I feel, of the way things actually work, to where I'm just not too concerned. I'm not too worried. The way I feel at this point, I love my YouTube. I'm grateful for it. It's the best job I ever had. But if somehow I lost it and everything, I would assume it was meant to be that way. And there's other things I can do to make money. God bless me with a lot of gifts and talents now. So I'm just not concerned, bro. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid. It's love. It ain't fear. You know what I mean? So I think and I get it. It's easier said than done. You don't realize how gaslit and socially engineered and brainwashed you are. They've been training you your whole life to be afraid. So I get it. It's hard to let go of that fear. And I only really let it go recently. And I can tell you exactly what happened. So when my little trailer that I was living in back here got swept out from under me, long story, I don't even know if I made a video about it, but I had to go stay in this garage. I couldn't film no videos. My car was being worked on and it was taken apart. I couldn't go in here and film. I couldn't do shit. And I was like, I'm gonna end up losing my YouTube. I didn't put up a video for like a month or something, and I was scared, and I didn't even look at it. I didn't even want to look at it. I was like, it's probably down to nothing, and I'm gonna have to start over with it. And then one day I looked at it and it was booming. It was going great. I hadn't put up a video in a month, and I was getting like hundreds of thousands of views. I was like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? And I was thinking to myself, man, it's just more proof. God, the universe, the Tao, it's still trying to hammer into your head to stop worrying so much and go with the flow, and stop trying to micromanage and control, and go with the flow. If you can't make videos, what are you gonna do? You're gonna force out shit videos just to put up a video? No, you know what I mean? So, ever since that happened, I stopped trying to put up a video every other day, and I started thinking a lot deeper and harder about what I want to say in these videos. I want my videos to be helpful. I don't want it to just be clickbait bullshit that gets me views. You know what I mean? So, and that's one of the traps with YouTube for people that do YouTube. It's very tempting in the beginning to do the whole clickbaity bullshit with, you know, provocative titles, and you see them all over YouTube. They're like, they're trying to look all surprised in the thumbnail and shit. And I'm like, I could never. I mean, here's the thing with me at this point. I'm so detached from this physical world at this point. I feel like an absolute fool playing along with a lot of it. Like, this is why I'm kind of antisocial. With a lot of people, when I don't know them well, I have to put up this act of this person that's really not me. I can't just be myself because, you know, I wouldn't even be talking to them. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be interacting with this person if I was being 100% myself, you know? So in order to be somewhat socialized and not a complete hermit, I have to interact with people on a daily basis. And so I try to be as genuine as possible, but you know, I feel that I cannot really be 100% myself with most people. They'd be offended. Or they would, you know, they would think I was just rude or mean, or, you know what I mean? So I have to so I'm trying to think of an example recently where I saw someone. You know what it is? I see these people on YouTube who show up to their jobs and stuff, and I see them expanding. They're spending so much energy to just be one of these people who fits in with this office or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, I would never waste my energy like that. But I have in the past, where you just have to be someone else in order to I mean, I'll put it to you this way. If I had some sort of office job, I would have to pretend to be someone else to keep that job, because if I was myself, they'd fire me instantly. You know what I mean? So you know, an example would be like one of these like plucky, happy chicks who's, you know, gremlin scratching, super friendly and happy at the office, and when she goes home, she probably, the tension that's released from her is probably like, you could probably feel it, you know what I mean? Like, I could probably feel it, and I'm not even her. If I was sitting next to her, I'd feel that release. Like, another example, I don't know if this is a good example, but one of my homeless friends in New York used to spend a lot of time in Central Park by himself, but I was friends with him. So one day we were leaving the park, and I shit you not, I felt him tense up. I felt him he was no longer we were leaving Central Park and going into the hectic insanity of Manhattan, and so he could no longer be the peaceful, content version of himself in Central Park. Once he crossed that line, I felt him tighten up, and I even mentioned it to him, because I was just showing him how psychic I am, to be totally honest. But we were leaving the park, and I felt it, and I mentioned it to him just to, first of all, show him that I was actually psychic, like I said I was, but second of all, to help him understand it and to realize it and to maybe get control of it. So I said, dude, I feel your tension go up. I feel this fear, this stress coming off you all of a sudden. And he didn't deny it. And here's the thing, he didn't even notice it until I pointed it out to him. You know what I mean? Hopefully this is making sense. I don't know if it's making sense, but if you want to learn how to read people, if you want to learn how to be psychic, learn how to read yourself. You learn how to read your own energies and shit, and then once you've got that figured out, you'll start reading other people's energies and shit. I'm telling you. Hopefully this video makes sense. That's been a half hour. Hopefully I made my points. Let me watch this video and see. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for the subs, thanks for the likes, thanks for the comments, thanks for the tips. I'm trying to, like, let me watch this video and see. Hopefully it made sense. You know, if you want a response to your comment, try to get it within the first 30. Or if you're on my Patreon, you can put a comment on there. I respond to every single comment on Patreon. But yeah, I guess that's the end of this one. It went so fast. Hopefully I made the points I was trying to make. Let me watch it. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Everybody have a good one.